And I believe is it Fester because it's an umlaut? How do you
Firster.
Firster? Okay. Janice Firster, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon. Um, I'm happy to be part of this activity. And actually, my task is to introduce the speaker for this afternoon. He is the associate professor who had held various positions in many leading professional organizations in the Philippines. In fact, Ms. Zhu here and myself and this speaker that we will have this afternoon were part of an organization in Dumaguete, the ICT Dumaguete, who was, I'm sure most of your companies were also very active in. So he is the technical committee member for IT education of the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, executive director of the Asian University Digital Resource Network, board of trustee of Computing Society of the Philippines, former president of the Philippine Society of IT Educators, former vice president of Philippine E-Learning Society. He was also the recipient of the 2016 Most Productive Faculty Award of Silliman University and second place finalist of Philippine Digi Bayani Award for Digital Literacy. Among his research interests is e-learning, local knowledge computing, and digital trust, where he has been recipient of some local and international research grants. A United Board Fellow and Director for Silliman University Learning, Silliman University, Dumaguete, Philippines. Everybody, help me welcome Dr. Dave E. Marcial.
Welcome, Dave. Thank you,
Thank you,
Janice.
Dan. Thank you, and thank you, Sue, and familiar names, no, not faces, because they are not switching on their videos. Hi, Dana. Hi, paring Harvey. Who
Hi
else?
there.
Kinsa pa man eh. Let me check. And our colleagues from STI, colleagues from other university, and thank you for attending. I was briefed by Sue that this is actually a series of talk about digital leadership. So this afternoon, let me share with you my humble and little experience about leadership, but emphasizing on the digital environment or the digital world. Let me share my slides. Um, Please acknowledge if you were able to see my first slide, digital
Yes,
leadership,
we
and then,
can.
Yes.
okay, thank you. So digital leadership. Before I will start, let's have a poll first, and I wanted you to answer this. Are leaders born or made? I'm not sure if this activity was given in your previous workshop, but so that I have a taste also of my audience this afternoon, please have this poll lunch and please respond. Oh, born to 10, 11, 85, 89. I think made is leading and still 23, 24 voted. Okay. So 16, I think I have to end now. I think others have a challenge in accessing the poll. Oh, still two more, two votes added, and more. So I think it's still lagging. Okay. Oh, by the way, thanks, Janice, for that very generous introduction.
You're welcome.
And okay, so let me end the poll and share with you the result. Many of you, 70% of our audience said that um, leaders are made and maybe not born. But eight of our participants also said that leaders are born and perhaps not made. Thank you for that, and that's basically the results of our poll this afternoon. I wonder what are our bases, no, of saying that leaders are born or leaders are made. Let me stop the sharing of my poll. Okay, so many said leaders are made and they are not born, and they are made by hard effort, which is the price which all of us must pay to achieve any goal that is worthwhile. Another person also said that effective leaders are made and not born. They learn from trial and error. And this is basically through experiment. They fail and they succeeded. And they learn from experience. Covey also said that leaders are not born or not even made, and they are called, they are self-made, according to Stephen. Sometimes there are many arguments if, or most of the time there are many blogs, even blogs, there are many arguments, a long battle of answering this question: are leaders born or made? Dear participant, let me tell you a story so that I can also answer and join you in the poll. Just like any fairy tale story, it always started with once upon a time. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was an ordinary and timid boy who grew up with his grandparents. He is really a Lola's boy. And let's call him Anthony. Anthony is an average pupil. In fact, in a reading measurement when he was in grade 1, he is one of the 5 pupils who were graded as sailboat reader. It means that that is the second to the last rating in the reading exercises. However, during playtime, Anthony, he always organizes plays. He is the organizer. He will always effort to gather his friends in the neighborhood and lead all this kind of games, batulata, taguan, and many forms of games. He often requested by his friends to ask permission to the parents of his friends para i-allow to join and play with him. A good and great leader is an inspiring influencer. In the digital transformation, the role of a leader is central in driving fast decision-making process and propelling the change. Digital leadership is actually a combination of leadership style, of transformation leadership, and the uses of digital technology. I think that's very self-explanatory. Digital leadership is defined as the combination of culture and competence of a leader in optimizing the use of digital technology to create value to the organization. Kumbaga, there are two hats that a leader in the digital world wear: the technology side and being an actor. I will not talk about all of this because I'm sure this was mentioned perhaps, or these were mentioned perhaps in the previous speakers. But on the technology side, we have to be familiar of the pace of change, the time of market, which I will explain further later, technology integration, understanding our market, distributed value creation, and capture market environment. What is funny, because when Anthony is about to lose the game or his team is about to lose the game, most of the time, um, he will always make alibi to end the game. In short, dili siya gustong mapildi, no? If about to lose ng iyahang team, he will always say, let's stop the game and let's just go home. A good leader, a digital leader, is a failure tolerant type. The fastest way we can succeed, according to Thomas Watson, the senior executive officer of IBM. In recent years, more and more executives have embraced this point of view, coming to understand what innovators have always known, and that failure is a prerequisite to invention. And he said also that a business cannot develop a breakthrough product or process if it is not willing to encourage risk taking and learn from subsequent mistakes. The growing acceptance of failure is basically changing the way the organization approaches to organization. Let's go back to Anthony. And ironically, in school, Anthony is a silent type of student and has few friends. He feels that he is always out of place. He has basically inferiority complex, but he is studious. He loves to do his homework alone and doesn't want others to work in a project with him. For him, for Anthony, he'd rather to make the assignment in solo than getting low grades because he is not contented with the work of his classmates. He feels that he could do it alone at all times. A digital leader is a person who can provide guidance, instruction, direction, and leadership to a group of individuals or a team for the purpose of achieving a certain key result or group of aligned result. And we know also that a team leader monitors both quantity and qualitative achievements of the team and reports result to a manager. We know also that in leadership, a team leader um, has a lot of responsibilities, and we know so many inspiring quotes from the different leaders also, or our idols, and we are fascinated and guided with the different inspiring quotes about team leadership. Just to quote from Henry Ford, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, working together is success. Anthony graduated second honorable mention during his elementary graduation. Because of his award, he qualified to a government academic scholarship in his high school. His curiosity as an adolescent allowed him to expand his friends. His high school days forced him to improve his relational and interpersonal relations. Anthony graduated second honorable mention during his elementary graduation. Because of his award, again, he got a scholarship in high school. A curious leader mastermind is also necessary in a digital leadership. Um, and according to a blog in Harvard, the benefits of curiosity in the new research reveals that a wide range of benefits for organizations, leaders, and employees includes fewer decision making errors, more innovations and positive changes in both creative and non creative jobs, reduce group conflict, and more often, communication and better team performance. Great results begin with Great questions. And the question is, what are the questions? Huh? Um, this quote, no, basically explains us or compels us to ask questions. But again, what's gonna be the right question? So open-ended questions where cannot be answered in a word or two and generally require more thought. And some of these questions include, what are the alternatives? What do you need to accomplish our goals? How can we be more effective? And how do you feel or how do we feel about this? And they said there is no right or wrong way to ask a curious question. It comes down to a choice between basically judgment and curiosity, between a fixed mindset and a learner mindset. And when I say learner mindset, these questions assumes instead of defending them, and a learner mindset is responsive and reflective instead of reactive and defensive. So practice curiosity in leadership. Let us cultivate curiosity in the way we lead people. Let us ask more curious questions. Remember to ask our colleagues, our friends, um, to explore possibilities in a non-judgmental and non-fault finding manner. We should have more conversation, share our thinking, and seek to understand our perspective. During high school, Anthony participated a lot of activities. He invested much of his time in improving himself. He joined any school related activities that could improve his communication both orally and in written. Remember, he was a sailboat reader. He joined the school paper. He joined declamation, balak competition. He was a dance troupe member, a church choir, joined Mr. High School. He even attempted to join singing contests. He was a student leader and a representative to the World Youth Day to meet personally Pope John Paul II. There are 8 essential leadership skills according to Landry. And he said that communication is important in leadership. A leader is someone who inspires positive, incremental change by empowering those around us. These communications, what are these skills? These are ability to adapt our own communication style, active listening, communication in the sense of a transparent communication. Clarity is also very important. Ability to ask open-ended questions, the one I asked, or the one that I presented a while ago. Empathy, even open body language. And last but not the least, receiving and implementing feedback. But what about in the digital world? Because those are the generic, sir. What about in the digital world where we cannot even see our people in person because we are working from home, or perhaps um, we are home based. Some of the tips for leaders using digital and online communication tools effectively, and among these 3 tips that I also got, understand the many and the varied online and digital communication tools. Understand its purpose, understand its reach, and understand its complexity. When we say online and digital communication, what do you mean by that? We know that it is ever growing list, but let's say perhaps email, telephone, video conference, instant messaging, or chat, or maybe SMS at least. Keeping in mind that we are face to face with someone, communicating our message is conveyed according to research as follows: 55% body language. 38 through tone of voice, and only 7% words. Mao day ng kung magsagit nangisog ka, wala gi-emphasize lang. Again, research shows that we can convey our message in three different distribution. 55% through body language, 38% tone of our voice, and only 7% from the words we shared. So we are talking email. What about an email? And we are reliant on the word themselves. And that's basically refers to the 7%. And as we change mediums, we slide up that scale in terms of how much more context the recipient of our message gets and how effectively we get our message across. But it can still be fraught with challenges. Room perhaps for misinterpretation, body language, or even the context. So, communication sometimes is a minefield, and it is sometimes the culprit of many relationship speed bump or misunderstandings. So there are a lot of things that we have to be very careful in using this kind of technology. Even the choice of our words. I remember I'm very young at that time and emailing abroad, especially to non-Christian country. And I used to type, God bless you, no, and things like that. And then a very long email informing me that they are offended and so on and so forth because of that line of my email, God bless you always. No? So things like that. We have to consider the way we write, the way we compose, and the current circumstances mean that we are all using online and digital facilities this time much more than usual. So for those who are fortunate enough to be working from home, technology affords us convenience, but we need to ensure it's not at the cost of relationship and connection. So hence we need to use them in the right context and be careful that our communication is effective in doing so. In an online communication, also, let us build a strong relationship offline. This is the asynchronous mode of communication. Doing this ensures that our online message is received as intended. I know a friend, he doesn't like to email. He wanted to call if he has something to ask about me because he doesn't want to be misinterpreted. I also find a stronger many relationship with someone that more latitude and many words on the page, tone of voice, and even body language. So for those times that you need to deliver a message online that you will feel difficult to convey, then perhaps you have to choose a synchronous way of messaging, and that is either via call or via voice call, face to face, or another one. Use the right mode of communication. So we have a lot of tools. We have I'm not sure if Messenger is allowed, WhatsApp is allowed. The speed and ease of communicating with few or many, and the ability to share photos and even memes, mean that they are a great tool for keeping in touch. And but if we are sending lot of messages, sometimes we know that this text or instant messaging is not anymore appropriate. So let us make sure that we are using the right mode of communication. When we send also a communication or a message online, let us put ourselves in the shoe of the recipient. Are our instant messages, text, or emails bland? Or my tip to you is read and reread it to check if that's okay and could be read as a standalone. Lately, lately my style now is uh to send in a later time or a later date, meaning a scheduled sending of email, because I still have time to review my email. You know, we have that function in Gmail if we are using Gmail. Let us also conduct ourselves as if we are, when we message or we talk online, send message online, communicate online, we need to simulate ourselves that as if we are talking in face to face. That's the best way to deliver our message and ensure that there is relationship and engagement within. And use that kind of simulation to build and maintain a relationship. So say for example, when you meet in person, 'di ba, usually you say, "Hi, hello, kumusta ka?" No? Gwapa lagi ka ro, nice imuhang t-shirt, nice imuhang. Translate that in an online message. Dili kay most of the time, which right now our experience, students, we are having a hard time um educating again our students of proper emailing, proper writing, because when they send an email as if they're just talking their friends, or they don't even, or maybe they're just consider email as a text or an instant messaging. Okay, so in this time of crisis, we cannot choose our circumstances, but we cannot control the way we respond. That is why it is necessary to us to review from time to time our communication, our email, and once we are at our peak of emotion, do not send email into that. You can write it, but do not send it immediately. Send it or send your message in a later date. Engage in frank development conversations. In the digital world today, you have to ask yourself, what is our role? What is my role and priorities? What am I accountable for? How am I doing at my job? Do I feel free to share my ideas? Where am I going next? The more effective leaders communicated how change would benefit the staff or personnel, including how continuous education and training opportunities to our people. So, in addition, many managers, many leaders did not shy away from transparent conversations on where employees' efforts were needed in order to move forward. And an effective conversation card was also is also advisable. Know that something like we have patterns, we have rubrics, we have evaluation, so that we can verbalize and we can translate this conversation and relay this to our people or to our staff. Anthony graduated class salutatorian in high school. His extra and co-curricular activities brought him to this academic award. And on top of this, he was also awarded with the Leadership Award. The award inspired Anthony to do better in college. Now the struggle, what course to enroll in college? He was challenged in deciding what course to enroll in college. What he did his own research. How he did it? He made a rubrics. He created a formula based on the present scenarios of the job market, input from his parents, and what he envisioned or what he likes to work 10 years from that time. Then he decided to enroll a course that he is enjoying under an academic scholarship. There are many elements of a good decision. We know that. And there are many steps in making great decisions. We know that also. A good decision makes sense and feels right. Great leaders understand how to balance emotion with reason and make decisions that positively impact themselves, their employees, their customers, and stakeholders, and their organization or company. Emotional intelligence, emotional self control and decision making, reigning in emotion for strategic decisions, managing uncertainty and choices, the lens when we go to avoid uncertainty, and some limits of our choices, and even trusting our intuition. Decision making, as we all know, it is critical in everyone's success. And what's the role of digital leadership or leadership in a digital world? In this paper, one way of in which the introduction of technology has changed the organizational life has been the greater need for speed. And this research basically explains that many leaders agree that e-business leaders are forced to make decisions more rapidly. And this seems to suggest that decisiveness and problem solving abilities keep being extremely relevant for digital leaders and may become even more prominent in the future. So according to the study also, the never-ending urgency to create situations in which digital leaders need to make decisions without having all information or without having time to think and analyze the problem properly, which may lead to falling back onto habitual responses instead of creating a novel and innovative ideas. Leader skills is also different in the digital era. Why? Because research shows that there is fast acceleration of decision making among or perceived by the digital leaders. In this paper also, there was a measurement of the type of leadership and the type of decision making applied or implemented or employed by the digital leaders. And the research, one of the findings of the research is called a devolved decision making as one of the key factor in good leadership. Devolved decision making means that decisions are made at the appropriate level closest to the customer. In this sense, leaders have to share power and support others to make the right decisions. Devolving decision making is a critical element, according to the study, in making the transition to a more distributed and connected style of leadership. Um, and the study further explains that it is one of the more difficult since it is natural for leaders to want to retain power in an organization in order to control outcomes. And we know that time is not a luxury that we have in the digital age, and there are many possibilities in digital transformation. In the digital world also, we have to change the decision making in relation to the business outcomes. We have the so-called the just in time decision making, the structure, the flow, and what is unique in digital leadership is on the basis of data and metrics. In another research also, what are the common decision making practices of digital leaders? And it shows that the star there, if you can notice, weekly, digital leaders use multiple sources of customer data to assess their unmet needs. And monthly, Business leaders dedicate time to learn about digital technologies, and monthly also they share, test, and learn findings across the organization. And quarterly, every after 3 months, they do assessment, the relocation of digital talent. They use scenarios, evaluating portfolios, uh, some shift, relocation of capital expenditures, and even defunding underperformed initiative. Some of the decision making lessons to be learned according to another study in the time of digital transformation, decision making effectiveness drive business performance and employment engagement. And just to emphasize that decision making is critical to differentiate a short-term performance decision from long-term business growth decisions, and we have to be ready with that. And the most unique attribute in digital leadership, specifically in decision making, is the so-called data-driven decision making. So data-driven decision making, by its very definition and design, is changing. It needs technology, cloud computing, analytics, and there are many processes now that we have to be aware. We know in the past there are different types of systems. If you are, or if we are in the digital world, we know group decision systems, from group decision down to business intelligence, and we have to be very familiar into that. We have to be familiar with the buzzwords now, the big data, the analytics, cloud computing, and so on and so forth, because all of these are basically works with data, and data, when processed, can provide very meaningful information to help achieve the outcomes of the organization. Predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, preemptive analytics, and so on and so forth. These are the new ways and the new methods that could assist decision makers. No, like and this can be operated by a program. This can be done in artificial intelligence, specifically machine learning algorithms, in making our systems, in making our programs. If before we are contented with surveys, we are contented with polls, right now it's just so easy to get sentiments, even open-ended questions, unstructured data, unstructured decision that can be structured using this kind of methodology in decision making. Anthony, this time, during that time, recognizes the value of teamwork and collaboration. During the college time, he can fight for his co-member, his friend, his co-officer, and he is always supportive and always willing to help each other, to train other people in the organization. Um, the traits of digital leaders, and among the common ones, includes providing vision and purpose. We know that. And try to observe on the last three, creating the conditions of power people to experiment, empowering people to think differently, getting people to collaborate across boundaries. If you notice, this talks about people according to the top four traits of a digital leader in this research. Creating the conditions for people to experiment. Digitally mature organizations are innovative. We know that. And this involves experimenting fast and learning faster. And when experiments go wrong, it is not a failure, rather a lesson. And the failure is fast, and turns into success and even faster. We have to empower people also to think differently. We should always tell our colleague, our people that they should always that they are free to think out of the box. The research shows that 13% of the respondents selected execution as the most important characteristic of a digital leader. Again, execution is considered as the most perceived characteristic of a digital leader. We know Steve Jobs, celebrated a celebrated digital leader because he saw Xerox Spark technology. Imagine what no one else ever had. He used to develop it, the first graphical user interface, and ushered a new personal computing era. Getting people to elaborate across boundaries. Our workplaces, our offices, is increasingly becoming boundaryless, right? Especially ECQ, enhanced community quarantine. You're not allowed to work in the office or perhaps unlimited face to face. So the type of stakeholders are also increasing. We have different teams, gig workers, subject matter experts, and even robots. You are talking now with robots. So it means that we have to increase our network. We have to increase our collaborators, not just simply within the four walls of our offices, but across regions, across cultures, across um, countries also. So it needs partnerships, it needs collaboration. Before, like ako, I'm a researcher. Before, it's so difficult to get hold of a research output or a research copy. Sometimes if you're not, if you don't expand your network, you have to pay in dollars. But if you know how to collaborate, all you have to do is to just communicate and contact authors, and the authors will give you free copy. So just collaborate across boundaries. Going back to Anthony, during his first year college, he was so confused to his studies because of the demands of his academic scholarship. And he succeeded. He was the top one Dean's Lister in his batch. However, he was socially and mentally drained. He felt emptiness because of the routine he has, library, study, home, library. On his second year, he joined student leadership and landed him a seat in the Supreme Student Government and the chairman of the graduating class of his batch. During those days, it was those activities of him was paralleled with other things that he haven't tried. He tried dramatic guild. He experimented the feeling of cutting a class. He attended also class with an headache because of an overnight alcoholic drinking, signature campaign to protest a teacher, and among others out of curiosity. And if you will ask Love Life, he tried being salawahan also secretly because he was popular in his university. Despite this, he graduated cum laude, the only awardee in his degree during that batch, and another leadership award. He was asked during a mock interview how he did it, and he answered time management and setting of priorities. Why time management matters more in the digital era? They said technology forgets time. Leaders of any business become successful because they can focus on one thing at a time. Today, with the technology, however, allows employees and executives to focus on many things at once and hindering the level of concentration and depth an employee can bring to any given task. Why time matters more in a digital age? Because of the so-called information management. Digital technology grants people immediate access to anything that we want to see, we want to hear, or we want to read. Because of this, time management in a digital scope is really about information management. The more or how good you are in organizing your information, how good you are in saving the links of the information you wanted to go. I have this researcher friend. His area of specialization is data management, information management, and he found out that learners nowadays is not anymore remembering the words or the data itself, but they always remember the location where to access the data or information. You just imagine that. So collective human discipline also is a significant factor why time management matters in the digital age. When one manages our time, other people will also manage theirs. And time management is actually, we know this, that it is a collective discipline that involves building a framework of shared good practices that is understood by everyone in order to make the most out of each other's time. Time management is a critical issue in this era. And remember what's important, get more organized. What else? Take a trip to Ohio. I got this also. Ohio stands for only handle it once. Huh? Uh, our tendency is when we receive communication, when we receive email, we just check it. I mean, we just open it and then let's just park it. And then later on, at a later time, we will open it again and then read it. And then we will not act on it. We will act on it on another day or on another time. The tip by many digital leaders is once you receive an email, as long as you have the resources, the power, and the ability to respond with the content and available information, you do it immediately. No. uh, and then learn to scan information. Sometimes because of the digital world, many of the sender just send so much information, baga ng mga attachment. Ako personally, I don't read. I don't read. Sa busy, what I normally do, just scan what is important. Like ikaw, if you will email to me and a very long email, I don't normally read that word for word. I'll just find where is the tuyo of this sender. Mamaligya radi ay. Okay, respond, noted. We will contact you. So, be able to learn on how to scan information which is significant only to you or to the organization. Focus on your energy where it matters, no? But sometimes if naka Facebook na, no, madani jud ta to browse, and then perhaps mahurot na ang time because of the social media. And remember that educational time is not wasted, meaning it's not a waste of time. Learn to perhaps attend seminar like this, attend MOOCs, no, massive open online courses. Harvard is offering, Stanford University is offering. You can get all this certificate. Don't stop. If you have time, no, keep on learning. And then I just want to tell you this: don't always be online, but with with this time, we cannot do away with that. Most of the time, online ta permi. But my point to this is let's while we are online, let's be organized. While our technology is connected because there are notifications and there are push and pull, but sometimes you can automate. There are chatbot maker nowadays. You can develop that for yourself. No, if someone will message you, maybe they can just the chatbot can answer or can respond for you. Um, what else? Get more organized. This is the one I'd mentioned, and be clear about your priorities. Goal setting is an important factor that enabled every employees to track our progress and our growth. Anthony landed a first job, but not aligned with his degree. He was into a multinational company. Specifically, he was into sales, PR, marketing. Why? Because initially he thought that he made a mistake in his degree. But wait, you may ask if Anthony did not fail. Well, no perfect person. He failed. The worst of his experience was he failed some section in a comprehensive exam during his master's degree education, and he was emotionally depressed at that time. And took him 2 years to compose himself and face again the battle. Why even the best leaders fail at digital? I encourage you to read this blog. It's a very thought-provoking blog. Let us also learn to manage failure. Uh, this is a very good book that I got from Springer also. Learn to manage failure, specifically organizational change, failure in innovation, failure in projects, failure in teams, failure of leadership, failure in innovation, decision making, failure in personal development, failure in startup companies, and so on and so forth. There's a lot to learn and to manage failures because no one is perfect. Anthony dreamed to become a significant person, a person that can make a difference, a person who can lead, who can manage failure, work as a team, and a person who can listen. Anthony finished a PhD degree and took a certificate in leadership in Boston College with seminars and citations in Harvard University. He was immersed in leadership and managed in different cultures and had an immersion in Japan and Singapore. Because of hard work and perseverance, Anthony was able to visit several countries in Asia, US, and Europe. Let us all be ready. And to be ready in this digital world, we should be able to know the basic or the foundational digital readiness competencies, learnability, our agility, our curiosity. Then once we done with that, let's elevate our readiness to digital leadership. That is our drive to lead, championing collaboration, humility, empowerment, and the most advanced people or the most advanced digital leader. They are very good in handling data. They are very good in strategic solutioning, business acumen, digital communication, and mental endurance. And my other tip is never stop learning, the one I'd mentioned to you. Leadership, also known as leadership 4.0. It is a new management style that accompanies and drive the digital change in our own company within the aim of making business processes more agile and flexible. A digital leader, as a digital leader, you have to set a good example and are a mixture of digital expert and change leader. To me, digital leadership in my own experience is empowering. Fight for your people, protect them, show the best example that you can, give them space to experiment, guide them, scold them if necessary, warn them, call their attention, um, It is empowering to all kinds of people working together or to work together. Teamwork is the key. Difference, be able to learn the difference between all for one and one for all. Digital leadership is empowering all kinds of people to work together in order to achieve the desired transformation. Be a driver for change. Have a vision to transform, but be ready for the struggle of unknown enemies, people who cannot accept change, the social media, and the ever changing technological change. Digital leadership is empowering all kinds of people to work together in order to achieve the desired transformation in the VUCA world. VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It refers to an increasing inability to grasp the world and deal with the things happening around us. It describes the situation of constant, unpredictable change that is now the norm in certain industries and areas of the business world. VUCA demands that you avoid traditional, outdated approaches to management and leadership and day to day working. And last but not the least, pray. Before I will end my talk, let us also end the story of Anthony. After several attempts of going abroad, he remained in the Philippines because he wants to make a difference in the country in his own little way. He landed a job that he loves very much that will bring him into his retirement age with his wife, his college girlfriend, together with his son Max. And by the way, coincidentally, Anthony is my second name in my baptismal certificate. And that is my story, the journey of becoming a digital leader in this VUCA world. I hope someday one of you here will share a story of your most memorable and leadership journey. Thank you and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, Dave. Let's give Dave a warm round of applause. So Harvey thought that he was the guy in the picture. So it's actually you. So thank you, Dave. It's 5 o'clock, but if folks are willing to stay, does anybody have a question for Dave? This is such an interesting and uncharted aspect of leadership, no? I mean, digital. So anybody has a question, you can raise your hands, you can unmute yourself, or you can type it on the chat box.
Hi Edna, nice to see you.
Hi, Sir Dave. Hi, Sir Dave.
Sige, siguro I have a
So I have a
question, Dave.
question.
Sige, go. Go.
Go
Go
Hi
ahead.
ahead.
Dana.
Dana.
Hi, Dave. Um, you mentioned several things towards the end of your talk about uh, digital leadership, about practical stuff. But I was thinking, in this day and age of this young, very young population of employees, um, they seem disengaged and they seem to have so many things going on with their lives. How does a digital leader, um, I don't know, use whatever is there to get them engaged again?
Mhm.
Or, something like everybody seems to be just doing, concentrating on their TikToks and, and stuff like that.
Yeah. I totally understand Dana, but I haven't experienced that. Siguro what I can share it's a matter of match. a matter of much of the job description and the kind of people that you're able to get. So say for example, I'm now in my office, the very young office in the university. It was created because of pandemic, the Silliman Online University Learning. The university told me to get people. Of course, I have to find people, and all of my people are young, relatively young, ages 21. Ako rin pinakagulang actually. 21 to I think 33. And they are programmers, they are assigned as trainers, they handle data, they handle uh, um, mga established, professors here. But we feel that in just 1 year of journey in our office, there is a perfect match of what they like in their job. So siguro kuan, right people, the right people of the right job. That is why they are engaged. Um, because if they marabaog, sige, kanina lang nga work, okay, sige. Ana lang, there's no passion, there's no drive. Siguro ingon ana. Um, wala kay ko ka-experience good og people nga lately. But siguro in my previous kuan combination man gud to dili to mga young, but we are talking here the the young, but most of the people that I encounter, the young ones, are very passionate. Siguro lahi lang jud siguro in the academic setup. They're very passionate, and we can do overtime, sleepless nights, even without overtime, because it is our responsibility. I think it's a matter of understanding the job responsibility, the job description. Like for us, this people of mine, they know that they have the responsibility to make sure that the system is up and running. So even if alas 5 na, and then tungod kay naapay usa ka estudyante nga dili kasulod, di ko na sila muli. Or they will just tell me na, sir, can I just I will drive, but mag-on lang ko sa mobile just to monitor. You can see really the engagement of these young guys to the work.
Pila inyong sweldo diha? Dako tingali.
Gamay ra. Mao na akong giingon, passion and then match and understanding the responsibility, because we cannot deny the fact baya nga industry pays a lot than the academe. O di ba Harvey? O Harvey was a former dean before and now in the industry, and he can relate much.
Ayan. So thank you for that answer, Dave. Does anybody else have a question? There's a question here on the chat.
Martin.
Oh,
Wow,
si Harvey.
pang
Pang
Mr.
Miss
Universe.
Universe. From Mr. Universe. How important is it to consider transforming yourself to become an effective digital leader in this digital age?
There
Ha 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 ha.
more about og there's you have to change, you have to sacrifice, because if that is the path that you are choosing to become a leader, then you have to set example. Setting an example is sacrificing also, and we know the word sacrifice. If we are the boss, if we are the manager, a lot of sacrifices, family time, because one son versus the entire university, so things like that ba. So you have to transform, you have to adapt. We know in this field technological change very, very, very fast. Perhaps the kind of leadership I had 10 years ago is totally different now. Karun manggod kami dire very data driven. Most of my guidelines that I release are really based on data. I have a person who does the analytics just to make sure that my decision are based on data, based on these things. And this kind of skill, I did not take this in my masters. There was no data analytics in my master's during this time. So you really have to adapt. You have to learn. You have to spend time learning how to transform yourself in order to be ready for any challenges. O pang Mr. Universe nga answer by
Sunod na,
Harvey.
pasok na sa top 3. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Meeting
that.
the
There's another
academic.
question here, Dave. Being in the academe, do you think our graduates are empowered to become future digital leaders?
Yeah. Um, um, Transformative leadership is one of the institutional graduate outcome of the university. And um, many of the courses, many of the degree programs in the university, they have technology oriented subject. So I would assume that ready na sila. But as we discuss here, technological change evolve, research shows evolve every after 6 months. So if first year na nila gikuha, pag graduate ana nila, lahi na pud na siya. Lahi na pud na nga technology. And that is why we are promoting lifelong learning, meaning they have to enroll or short courses, certificate, even if that is not required in their degree program, because again of the very fast technological change.
Okay. I have a question. I'm just curious. What are the top 3 applications you use in your phone or tablet?
Ah, in my phone, Messenger is number one. Facebook Messenger. I have Facebook Messenger. Di gina mawala. Um, I have Lazada. Most utilized. Yeah, because I have some apps nga mag-monitor sa kung usage. Email, the most utilized. Sorry, Messenger, email, and then Lazada. Why I have to mention Lazada? Because it's part of my time management. It's how handle how I ensure that I still have family time. So dili na ko mo shopping pa, adto na lang ka sa online because it can save much of your time, no? uh, because going to the mall will kill your day, 'di ba? Dalon pa ang asawa, o 'di ba? So malangan jud. May manang akura o kana mauna na siya ha palita bitaw. But kidding aside, that's really true. It helps me uh, declog my time in terms of shopping, in terms of shopping. Oh, why email? Because most of the time naara magina siya sa email. And second is messenger, both personal and at work. But many of my contacts man good are not into messenger, but dili man regular ang communication. So I have of course mga WhatsApp, depende. I have phone actually nga kung international friends kani ako ang gamiton kay tuwa didto ang WhatsApp, tuwa didto ang kanang wala na kay time to install pa and sync and so on and so forth.
All right. So,
Suzanne, ang
uh,
imo.
Hmm?
You
what?
should share yours. Suzanne, you should share yours.
Oh, you mean Smule. Yeah, we should get Dave to use that as well. So, any other questions, guys? Wala na. Okay. So, and you know how to get in touch with Dave in case you have additional questions, right? So let
Sure.
me share this, Dave. It's our certificate of appreciation to you for sharing, generously sharing. It's finals week, no? So I'm sure dagan kay issues sa mga taong dili ka connect. What? So, thank you for sharing your time, knowledge, and insights on digital leadership. Um, and it's a very technical topic, but you were able to break it down into very manageable portions for us to digest. And we give this to you with all our gratitude. Thank you very much. Let's give Dave a warm round of applause.
Thank you for
Thank you,
inviting me.
Dave.
I miss you
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Dave
wala
is
na.
one of the founders of ICT Dumaguete. Trivia,
He's our
trivia.
first president.
He was our first president. So thank you, Dave, for organizing ICT when you were still in high school, no? Kay bata pa man karon. So what year was that? Yan.
Totoo, nagluib siya pag high school.
Laluma po kay naman ko kasabot sa nagluib. Oy, Bisaya na jud
Unsa
kaayo.
dito?
Nag-share siya bito sa iyong past. All right. Okay. So thank you,
Mita, thank
Dave.
you.
And
Oh,
thank
daghang
you.
salamat ha, daghang salamat.
Thank
Let's
you,
take a
Siliman.
photo, group photo.
All right. So
Oh.
if you can turn on your,
I can't.
yes.
Can everybody turn on their videos?
Hindi ko pwede.
Hold on. What's the view? Gallery view. Okay.
Wow.
Ready? The rest are not turning their videos on pa. Okay, they're turning it now. A few more.
Hi, Juvie.
There. Some more people.
Hi,
Hi,
sir.
Zach.
Harv, your video. Hannah, Clarice, Emmy, Maritas, Jan. Okay, taking the photo in 1, 3, 2, 1.
Hi.
Okay, one more. Smile. All right, thank you, Dave. Thank
All
you.
right. So next
Thank
week
you, Sir
it's Zach
Dave.
Mansing. I see him there. He'll be our speaker next week. So we'll see you next Friday.
Hi,
Thank you,
Dave, for the
everyone.
Friday
Thank you, Dave.
habit.
Thank you,
Okay,
Seleman.
take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.